Mark Saccoia in the hood.
Yes,
What's
that's
happening? Huh?
Good, man. I'm frothing off this weather. It's beautiful.
How good is it today outside? Spring is here.
Just want to get out there. Yeah, I know.
Spring is in full swing.
I'm waiting for summer. I can
Yeah.
not wait. I've been back-to-back winters.
Yeah.
It's been brutal.
What do you mean back-to-back winters? Oh, where were you?
UK, London town.
What, in summer? Summertime here?
Yeah.
Wow. How long for?
Got back in Easter.
Yeah.
I was there for a little bit of the summer, but it doesn't stand up against Adelaide's summer or Australia's summer by that.
They've only got like 15 days of like good weather in from what I've heard from Tom and that over there.
Well, it's funny. When I was there,
Yeah.
they had a heat wave,
Yeah.
and it was like 4 or 5 days of over 25.
Is that right?
And the British just take everything off. You know, all these pasty people getting around, laying on, any piece of grass they can see.
Yeah.
And we're like, what's going on? Where's the hot weather? But it's more about, they just have dark mornings still and dark evenings. So it's not like us where we leave work, you still got 5 hours of daylight, go down to the beach,
That's crazy, eh?
Yeah, so
Full
we're pretty lucky. I mean, I enjoyed it. Access to Europe's fantastic, but certainly glad to be home. And the purpose to go there was to kind of get Hyper up and running and help Tom out anyway, and we did that. So I'm happy.
So Hyper obviously is the company that you work for.
Yeah, that's right.
So they've got a few offices, don't they? So where are they based sort of around the world now?
Yeah, so Tom started the company in Sydney, and we had some people doing sales there and design there. And then Sasha, our CTO, is from Melbourne, so we've got an office there as well.
Yeah.
And then Tom started a London office. And to support the London office, we have a team in Eastern Europe, in a place called Cluj in Romania. So
That's
really
where
high
it is.
talent, super nice people. And it works with our London clientele time zone, trying to manage Australian clients, or British clients. In Australia is very difficult because at the end of our day a new day starts.
Yeah.
And so
I guess with an app, obviously it's called global, so it can work with anyone anywhere. It doesn't really matter.
Absolutely.
But it's gonna make your life a bit easier.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the good thing about an app, it's not like a bricks and mortar business. When you want to expand, it's relatively easy to do. You can have remote staff basically anywhere.
Yeah.
Communicating with the team via online communication or video, and you can support the technology up in the cloud or on some services in that local region.
Yeah.
And then you can also change local currency, and you can have minor support in that country. So it's that's why valuations get really crazy.
Yeah.
Because you can have a team of 5 people support 10,000 customers, or a team of 7 people support 1 million customers.
Yeah, right.
So
the program's gonna be that efficient to manage that much.
absolutely, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So how did it get started, Hyper? Like, what was Tom?
The main driver.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tom's previous company that he invested in is called Loke Digital.
Yeah.
And they support quick service retail and hospitality. Quite often these places, don't have big budgets to create their own apps and have their own engineers.
Sure.
So this company supports Australian, Singapore and London hospitality venues, quick service retail. So Tom was there for, they raised some capital, they expanded the team and their customer base, and that company's still going.
Yeah.
As you know, Matt's involved
Matt's
with Tom Booth. And during that process, a lot of people come to Tom and say, oh, you build apps? Like, I want to build an app. I've got a on-demand idea for dry cleaning or whatever it might be.
Sure.
So Tom said, well, I think there's, everyone wants to be they want to own a tech company, or they have good ideas. They see problems in their current professions, but they need help in, the process you're going through, validating the idea, having something tangible to show investors, so then you can have sufficient capital to start a startup. because if capital is pretty important
Yeah,
in this, and not everyone's got those resources available, but there is investors out there that do want to make money while they sleep, and see the global opportunity of good ideas. So essentially that's our mission, to try and get those ideas into the eyes of people with sufficient capital, to take it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like you'd be a small business with an idea, with a big idea to a point, like a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it's obviously pretty expensive to go through the process, like of building an app, launching an app, marketing an app, maintaining an app, all that sort of stuff too. So
definitely, it's
not like I said, bricks and mortar, where it's like you go in there, do the job, and you're out. This is something that's going to be consistent over time, that keeps building as well.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
If you've got a sort of a decent idea, so where's the best place to sort of start? So I've thought of an app. I want to get it built. I have no clue what to do or how to start or where to start, right?
Yep.
So what would be the process for me? Yeah,
I mean, if you don't come across a hyper ad on one of your social channels, then you're probably not you're not in much luck. But if you do, you'll speak to myself or another member of our team, and we will guide you through the steps that you can take early on. Most of the ideas are good ideas in the founder's mind, but we want to further validate that as a good idea before we risk money, essentially.
100%.
So we workshop the idea with founders, and then get them to think creatively about how they can acquire customers inexpensively, because just marketing a product is normally not really good enough. You really need to acquire a large database of customers early. And you do that through aligning yourself with other businesses that might hold your clientele, and think creatively about partnerships and things like that. So as you know, it's not a fast expedition in finding that product market fit. It takes time, and usually it takes further resources than what a founder can come up with. From a design standpoint, from a strategy standpoint, from a networking standpoint, all of that. So we try to just provide as many tools as we can for the founders, and really educate them and mentor them on what are the best steps right now. A lot of people think like, I need to find a developer to develop something, but you trying to articulate your great idea to a developer who has no idea usually about business strategy or networking or partnerships or any of the legalities around it, commercialization, nothing. It's very hard to get the product that you envisioned from a developer. So we stand in between and to showcase what that might look like. And then when we're ready for development, we know exactly what we're building. We know how much it's going to cost. We know who we're going to distribute to. We know what budget we might need for, say, runway, which is kind of the next 6 months to 12 months of this project. Because you will probably need more money, or you definitely need more money. Like you're not necessarily going to be able to support the business based on the revenue you bring in. What you want to focus on is just acquire as many customers as you can. And then when you turn the money off for customer acquisition, that's when the capital rolls in. Okay, the further capital rolls in. So that's why you have, companies like Uber and WeWork that are burning cash acquiring customers, but when they turn that off, they're going to be worth, hundreds of billions of dollars
because of how much they've built their database of clientele, really, isn't it?
Exactly. They're acquiring as much as they can of the world.
So the value's in the database that's built from the app to a point. Obviously with the service the app does, so I mean, if you've got like a service where you're doing transactions, obviously that's there too, but I mean, for the valuation side of things, you're saying it's like if you have a bigger database, obviously the values go up because there's more people they can have access to, or is that how it really works?
Totally. And also, cross-pollination of businesses as well. So WeWork hold a lot of startups and young businesses. And when you hold so much of that data, other businesses want that data. So you're able to leverage that into a commercial agreement as well and further profit from that. So us paying $125 a week to WeWork to have a hotspot, a hot desk. I think it's a little bit more than that, but that's not their only revenue model. They've got hundreds of revenue models. From selling coffee, from allowing other people to see other businesses and further monetize those products and services. So you know, for instance, they've partnered with a business card company called Moo, and we, as a WeWork customer, we might get 30% off spending money with Moo. Now, I guarantee that WeWork will be taking a percentage of what we spend with Moo.
Sure. Okay.
You know, so they're thinking about
I think I want to get onto like the revenue side of things in a minute, because I think there's multiple ways you can make money through an app, not just, you know, your one service, right?
Yep.
But before we get into that, I'd like to touch on like going through the sort of process, right? And from not knowing anything from before to actually being, you know, educated throughout the whole process of building an app, right? At the start, I was like, okay, surely it's just like they've got a few templates, make a few adjustments, right? You go over like what you want your pages to look like, and then bang, we have an app, so it shouldn't take too long, right? I learned very quickly it's not like that at all, right? So when you're first thinking about building an app and all that sort, what sort of advice would you get, say, to me at the start to think like outside the scope of what I'm just traditionally thinking of building an app, as to like set it up the best way to hit the ground running as soon as possible? Right.
I mean, we conduct surveys. You know, that's really critical to gain information that you might be assuming about your client.
So surveys to your clientele, not to us as the company that's wanting to build the app.
That's
right. So the people we work with, you're saying we go do surveys with them to see sort of how much of a portion of their business our business is to them, sort of thing. Or,
pretty much. Services and features that they would like.
You
know, pain points in their life currently that the technology might solve or might not solve. You know, just investigating pretty much everything about your customer, because, you know, great customer experience needs to be built into the tech, because if it's not a silky smooth journey for that customer using the technology, then they're probably going to leave. So you want to really get that right, you know. And
that's a real powerful thing. I mean, like, we use apps like on the daily, obviously, and I think we take them a bit for granted with how you know, how easy some of the apps are to use and to navigate and to get what you need out of them. Some of them are a pain in the ass too, let's not be wrong. Like some apps I'm like, shit, you can be doing this better, like for the function of it all and the usability, but some of them are really, really good. You just didn't realize how much work goes into actually making it that fluid and really, really good for the user.
Totally. And that's why, you know, our design team are, you know, we like to think they're top 2% in the world. Handpicked. Steph, who you've met, is a genius, and her work just gets better and better. Every project I see her pump out is just, you know, top tier. And that is everything. That is your product. You know, the service is one thing, but it's the creative. It's the love of what, it's the ease of use for someone. You know, everyone loves Uber because you order an Uber and it's out the front in 3 or 4 minutes.
You know
it's
what?
It's not because you jump in a car and you get a lift.
It's funny you brought that up, right? So there's 2 apps I want to compare with you, right, that are pretty popular right now. You've got Uber Eats, and you got Menu Log. You know that one?
Yeah.
Right. So Menu Log is good because it's got Hungry Jack's and KFC on it. All right.
Okay.
Whereas Uber's only got Macca's, right? If we're looking at like the fast food chains, right?
Yeah.
But when you use Uber Eats, I mean, it's like very easy. For me, it's very easy to use. You know, you go on there, you click, and then it comes up with the tracking of where your food is. Right? The first time I used Menu Log, I was like, all right, I'm going to get, you know, double whopper with cheese from Hungry Jack's. I'm like, rip, I can finally get Hungry Jack's delivered to me instead of having to go get it, right? So I'm like, that's amazing. But the first time I used it, I was like, the tracking was so different to compared to Uber Eats that it was actually like a little bit annoying, because I ordered the food and it said, you know, normally if I ordered, you know, Macca's be like, you know, 10 minutes, whatever it might be. This one said like 37. I'm like, it's just around the corner. Why is it 37 minutes to, you know, make a meal and deliver it? It shouldn't be that long, right?
Yeah.
But what actually happens is they organize the driver first, right? And then when he's or she is ready to go pick up the food, they time it for when they're going to come do the pickup. So then they cook the food just before they pick it up. Right. Instead of having it there waiting for the driver, they, you know, for 20 minutes for them to come back from their next delivery, because they use Menu Log drivers.
For sure.
So for me, the first time I used it was really strange. I'm like, mate, my food's going to get here cold, because I didn't know that. So I was speaking to the chat. I'm like, why have I to wait half an hour for my food? The driver's just there. Like, has he got my food? It's going to take this long to get to me. And they're like, no. What happens is he's probably doing another order, coming back and then picking up your food, and they'll make it 5 minutes before he comes to pick up your food.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And every time you push track, it takes you to like an external site. It's not a map inside the actual app.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me as a user, if I'm to choose one, it's going to be Uber Eats over Menulog for that pure easeability or functionality of it from my side. Right? Yeah. Even though I want to eat Hungry Jack's, but let's like if Hungry Jack's is on Uber, then it'd be fantastic, right? But it's not. So it's two different platforms. So yeah, as an example to talk about, like just in regards to
how frustrating bad technology can be.
It can be, right. You know what I mean? Because you see someone doing it, and it's like really user friendly and easy to use, and then you've got this one where it's going all over the place, and I have to track it, and then I don't know, like the map was always refreshing, and the guy wasn't where he was, and all this shit, and he like at my door he's calling me, and on the map he's not even anywhere near, and I was like, what the hell? Right?
I haven't used Uber Eats or Menulog, but I think we've become so ingrained with great technology that slight imperfections in technology now is seen as being really bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're using, Instagram and Facebook and Uber Eats and Uber all the time, and Gmail and Google, and Google Maps, these are all billion-dollar companies.
Yeah.
They've got tech teams that are massive.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a silky smooth interface and experience.
Yeah.
When we use something that's subpar, we get frustrated.
Exactly. And I think what it is, obviously they're newer and they're building, you know what I mean? So they've got Hungry Jack's and KFC on board, so I'm like, they've done some good deals to get those guys.
Well, Menulog, I think they were bought out by an American company for like 480 million. So there's still a bit of money.
Yeah, they've got a bit of capital to throw around in development, right?
They do. Right. But they're probably spending more money on customer acquisition as opposed to the technology right now.
Yeah.
They probably see that there's a huge market. Even though Uber Eats is everywhere, there's still a huge market for them to get in and acquire those customers, because, it's all really moving towards the driverless delivery. And when that happens, whatever app you've got on your phone, you're going to use, and their profits are going to increase exponentially because they're not paying the driver anymore.
Well, they're paying drones to deliver it to your house or something.
I'm not sure when the machines are taking over.
Dude, I've seen it. There was a guy.
New Terminator's coming out though. I'm excited about that.
Well, there was that kid in Sydney. Remember, he went to pick up a Bunnings sausage and bread.
I saw that
with his drone.
There's always one. I saw some guy fishing from a drone. Actually,
that's insane.
Yeah. So he had a deck chair, and then a drone took him up, and then he was fishing in the middle of the lake.
What?
Yeah. I spotted that like last week on one of my feeds. So
that's killer.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to get a big fish and pull the drone into the...
No, this thing was massive. Like, he was an engineer. The drone would have been the same size as this room. Had like 12 little copters on it.
What? That's huge.
Yeah. Well, it lifted him. He was like a bulky guy, like, 90 kilo or something. So.
It's been so weird to see like this guy just in there fishing, like, and the biggest catch a big one just starts flying down the lake. But my point with that was like, it's important these days with the way people are to have it so user friendly from the start, because that first impression is everything for obviously coming back and reusing it. And
that's it. It's very hard to make a great first impression twice. So, the stages we went through with you with the prototyping and getting feedback on that and analysing, look, does this work? Does it make sense? A step-by-step approach is really crucial. Yeah. Because when you do develop something, you can't make those changes inexpensively.
No.
It's expensive to tell a coder, okay, now we're actually going to change this.
Yeah.
And all that, essentially all the work that's been done is essentially wasted. And you paid for that work. So we want to reduce that as much as possible.
Most of the groundwork comes before they actually start even building the app. You know what I mean? So
totally. Yeah.
All the stuff, like from and we're only halfway through, well, maybe a bit more than halfway through of our development of what we're doing.
Yeah.
But just throughout the process, I've really learned that you've really got to have that roadmap of your app and where you want it to go and where each page goes and where each click goes, and that leads to that, and you need like 5 pages for that add-on of that one page. You know what I mean? So it's like designing all of that and making sure it's exactly how you want it to appear, and it's good for the user, and the main points are there straight away. Like, it's a lot of time to invest in that functionality part of it too, because you don't want it to suck the first time someone uses it and be like, this is too hard, and just completely disregard the app, because then you know.
Yeah, I mean, we find the process that you're in right now, it's about asking questions of yourself and the product and then coming up with answers and then using those answers to create a better product.
Yeah.
And that has to happen, for a 6 to 10 week period at least, I would say.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be answering those questions once it's built and then making changes. Because it just gets out of hand. And with the fall of some of the larger app development companies in Australia, appsters and whatnot, it was the issues that they had were people making changes during development and then them having to charge people more during the process. And then customers are like, well, I've already given you some money and I want my product.
Yeah.
But they keep moving the goalposts. The customers keep moving the goalposts. So we really want to change all that and make sure that everything is put on the table. We understand exactly what we're going to build, and then no changes are really made. Now, moving forward from that, developments always occur. You want to be updating your technology and making sure it's better.
Sure.
But that's based on features that the customers then tell you.
Yeah.
You can understand looking at the back end, what's being used, what isn't being used, and then put money into those features.
So that's a reactive approach to the app, really. So you've figured out what's working, what's not working.
Totally.
But that's once it's built.
That's once it's built and you've got, your first, 1,500 to 5,000 clients on it,
And when it comes to sort of, I know we've gone through, mapping out the design, we've gone through all the pages and now we're getting to the development stage. We've developed it now with the team.
Yep.
I'm assuming we go through testing after it's developed, right?
Yeah, normally do kind of like an internal test where the team that built it would test it out. It's called like a pre-beta.
Yeah.
And you'll just, there'll always be some bugs because there's so many different, if it's a web-based solution, there's so many different hardware options out there from laptops to desktop computers.
Sure.
And then there's also a bunch of different handsets on, like not everyone's got like the latest iPhone. You might have some old phone.
Yeah.
It's going to have different bugs. The software, reacts differently to that. So we do have to test it out, but there'll always be some bugs, little bugs here and there.
So how does that work? Do you have to develop the app for each platform, or how does that work?
Oh, you put me on the hot seat now, mate.
No, I mean,
I'm not quite that technical. No, from what I understand, you always do it to the latest, and anything that's I would say kind of a year old.
Yeah.
It depends. Android market, there's a number of different things out there. iPhone, it's normally most people update their iOS fairly regularly.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying with the apps. So like if I want to build an app, right, and I want it to be on everyone's phone, I'm gonna have to develop it separately for iOS as I am for Android.
Yes, within reason. Yeah, there is React Native. You can code it and then you can push it out to Android and iOS.
Okay.
But we normally try and work out what's going to be best for your client. So, for instance, most of your clientele for your project is going to be at a desktop.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a web-based solution.
Yeah.
And then once we get some critical data from the back end, we'll work out, okay, where are we going to go now?
Yeah.
Now here in Australia, primarily iOS users. So we're going to probably roll it out.
Are we still primarily iOS users in Australia at the moment?
I think so. Apple, their marketing, it's a luxury. It's seen as a luxury item. They're just too good.
It's really strange, eh? It's like Apple users aren't really good at using Android, and Android have trouble using Apple users, which I find with my mates and stuff. They've got they've had them both, and it's like, oh, this one's better now because of this, this, and this. But
it's just habits, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just get used to it, and that's it.
All comes to usability and you know what I mean. They're both they're both phones at the end of the day, do the same thing. Traditionally, they're for calling, but we don't use them as much for that now as we do for everything else, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, not many people call anymore at all.
So you said quickly before that the growth of app development is continuing to rise, right? So people are developing more and more apps every day. Like, how has that grown over time? You know what I mean?
Oh, I don't know about statistics, but I mean, I look at the root growth comes from how much data is being used from the telecommunications company.
Yeah.
So I think it's, that's almost 30% year on year.
Yeah, right.
How much data is being used.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Gone are the days where you get a $99 phone plan from Telstra and you get 5 gig.
Yeah.
Now they're throwing 60 gig at you.
Yeah.
Now that's a representation of how much you need based on app use.
Yeah.
how much video we stream and content that we consume,
and music and everything
through our phones.
Yeah.
So, you know, teenagers are on their phones for, you know, 3-4 hours a day now. And if you can captivate them to your app for a long period of time, then chances are you're going to make a fair bit of money.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I know. I guess one of the biggest questions around someone who's not really knowledgeable or, you know, knows a little bit about app building is how much does it cost, right? It kind of feels like that's asking how long's a piece of string, really, because wouldn't it come down to sort of like how much you have into the app and how much you need to develop it out and that sort of, there's not really like a set cost for app building, is there?
No, there isn't. And this is really difficult because people, you know, quite often will just ask me straight up, how much does the app cost? And, you know, I use all different analogies. You know, one's building a house.
Yeah, I like that one. It's
you know,
really good,
you don't know how many. I need to talk to the family. I need to work out what age the kids are. Do they need their own bathrooms? You know, do you want a separate exit for, you know, nuna or nunu? Like, you need to work out exactly what features you're going to need to understand what we're going to build. Yeah. And that's why it's really critical to analyze the problem that has occurred and why the solution needs to be created, and then what is the simplest product that we can build as a solution to fit the market initially in the minimum viable product. Yep. And then we can work out what the budget would be for that, and that's what we'll work towards. And then you can always add on features.
You know what? It makes so much sense to me the way you're saying it, right? And when you use analogies, like, it gives a different perspective, right? So, like, when you're saying, like, you're going to build a house for your grandparents, whatever it might be, right? So you go through the process of building a house. It's pretty similar to an app, how you've sort of set up the business now, because I've come up with this idea of this house I want to build. Yeah, I want 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and 2 cars. That's fantastic. So what I have to do, I have to go to council. I have to get an approval, right? I have to get my plans done, submit those, then they've got to approve it. So pretty much, if we relate that to the app, it's like, okay, we sit down, we say, what do you want to build with the app? All right, well, let's map that out like a site plan. Right. Yep. And then pretty much you guys consider yourself the councils in this analogy, right? They bring it to you and you say, okay, well, this is good. Like, you can do this, move this here, whatever. And then, you know, that should be all right to approve. Then they go back during the approval stage. They're waiting for their planning to come through. They come up with some new ideas, add that onto the plan. Yep. Submit it back to you guys. Have a look at it. Right. And then over time, you know, as with in planning still, before we get to that development approval, is everything that needs to be done for the app before you start developing, which is building, you know. And for the house, it's before we put down the foundations and, you know, start digging the trench, all that sort of stuff. Yep. Obviously, everything has to be planned out to a T before then. It's pretty much exactly the same process when it comes to app building now. Yeah, definitely. I think so. You know, you've got, like you said, council, and then, you know, you might hire council will probably get you the bait, like a draftsman will do something so you can get that done. Yeah. And then you still might consult like an architect as well. Yeah. And he'll ask, you know, where's the sun coming in? Where are you going to live most of the time in the house? In the back, right? We need it to face, you know, northwesterly, whatever. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, what spec do we want? You know? Do we want a butler's pantry? Do we want a door accessing from the garage into the home? Do we want a mud room? Do we want, you know, an ensuite? Or is it the landscaping we can do later once it's completely built, and then have a look at doing that a bit later? So they're your extra features, you know, right? What I mean? Yeah. So it's all that. It's exactly the same, right? When you have a look at it, it's just in an app form, you know what I mean? Because it's like, and then you go through the construction period, you know, which now can be 12, 16, 20 weeks for a house, right? Yep. It's just that quick now. Pretty similar to an app. It's like once you've got the plans there, you submit it to the builder. Yep. Right, they build it out. You obviously test it with real estate. You do obviously a defects list, a pre-settlement inspection. Yep. So you go through it, find out comes back in. All the scratches, all the knocks. You know, same thing for the app. Go through it, find all the bugs, what's not working, adjust things. Right. Yep. And then you get ready for completion / settlement, which is the same for the app. So once you get those bugs out, then you're ready to go. Yep. And there's some things you can do once it's finished. Like, all right, I might have a laminate bench top in my laundry for now, but later I'll upgrade it to a stone bench top. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because of the affordability of developing it now. Yeah. You know, so it's pretty similar in like the layout of it. So if you're ever thinking about building an app, you just look at it like building a house. Yeah. And it's pretty much similar timeline, similar structure to the to the deal and the development of it all.
Yeah, totally. And then the ability to kind of upgrade later as well. Right?
Yeah.
When you know that those features are going to be used.
Exactly right, because and you go down the line with a house and you might not like that tile anymore, so you take the tile out and replace it. It's the same sort of thing with the app. People are starting to, lean towards this, white 600 by 600 tile instead of the ones you put in, whatever it might be. You upgrade it to suit the clientele. So when you say to me, like it's like a building process, it makes perfect sense when you say it like that, because I can relate to that analogy and the timelines are pretty much succinct. Yeah. It's just crazy. Right?
It is.
Have you had any experiences once you've sort of built out the app that have just taken off really quickly, or that always taken like time to really build up and get a following? Is there cases where that happens, or is it always something where like a lot of time goes in and you just see it at that point and you think, hey, this is a new app, but they've been, had it out there for a while. It's just
for a
come
little
across
while,
you.
Yeah, I mean, it does take a little bit of time. We try to really have an audience in place to launch through. Like, you really want to email a large database and say we're actually live now on the App Store. And you do that by formalizing partnerships early and providing your users with some content based around what your idea promotes.
Sure.
So, you have mechanisms like a landing page where you can start to feed clients there, and they can put their email addresses in, and you can start to acquire that.
Yeah.
I think any good business is about timing, right?
Yeah, and I guess there's strategies around the launch and stuff as well, depending on what you're delivering.
I mean, if you get some good partnerships under your belt early, then you can leverage all sorts of referral codes based on to their database, based on giving them some form of freebie or discount. But yeah, you certainly want to work on that strategy, and that's part of what we do too. It really sets you up for success, and also provides a really good insight for investors to say, look, this opportunity, they've already started the race and they're headed towards the finish line, and I want to jump in.
Yeah. So you mentioned investors and stuff too. So with an app, I mean, you've obviously got the service, which will be whatever your service is, income stream for the app.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever you're trying to deliver, that's that. Right?
Yeah.
What other revenue streams can be developed through an app? Because I'm sure there's things out there that people haven't thought of, that I can actually clip the ticket on this or that or whatever. So there's multiple ways you can make money through it, or?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, most of the time people think, it's a subscription-based model or it's a one-off purchase, but your audience is really valuable to any other business that also wants access to that retail space of those eyeballs.
Yeah.
So, you can typically make a clip of a ticket on most things that you're selling through that database.
Okay.
So that's one.
Yep.
And then, different subscriptions, upgrades, in-app purchases.
Yeah.
So, we've all got premium Spotify accounts, but it's free once upon a day, but you don't want to listen to those silly ads. So you upgrade, right? So you typically want to make an app free, and it has some good features that will keep it sticky, so people will be on it all the time.
You can do add-ons and stuff.
But then eventually people are like, well, this is part of my daily life now, and I'm sick of, I want it to be premium. I'm willing to pay that extra, whatever, or the $12 a month or whatever it might be.
Oh, dude, yeah.
So it's really about, working out what that cost would be, and then working out customer lifetime value, which is kind of how much someone would spend over 12 months on an app.
Yeah, well, I guess you mentioned Spotify really fixed the problem in regards to piracy of music, right? Because for most of us who are, in their 30s or late 20s, that sort of thing, I mean, back in the day, I'm not saying I did it, but
LimeWire and all those ones.
There's always the torrents. So the torrents to download all the music. You'd make your own CD then as well.
Yeah, make a mixtape.
Make your own mix, and then and if you wanted a new album, you just go download it instead of paying the $30 that they were charging in the store, right?
Yeah.
Then it got to the point where Spotify came out, and it's like, I can't be fucked anymore. Like downloading, all this torrent, and it became a lot harder because there's a lot more restrictions, and all these torrent sites are getting shut down. And from what I hear, no, I'm not saying I did it, right?
But
they they started shutting them all down, and then there was restrictions for the country and all that sort of stuff too. So Spotify coming out and, you know, having that free access to music was great because you get any album you want and just start listening to it, right? But then, you know, obviously it became, you got to pay $11.99 or whatever it is a month to do it. And when you look at it, it's like, all right, well, is that will I be willing to pay that to avoid having all the ball breakness of downloading all that music, putting onto a CD, burning it, you know, or even putting onto your iPod and using it like that? The time that takes, you know, kind of was too long to justify like not having to pay the Spotify for me. You know what I mean? I was like, I'd rather just pay that and then have all the music I want whenever I want it, all the playlists made for me, all the mixes made for me, all the
the access to new music that you don't know about, right?
Exactly.
Because, you know, when your playlist finished, Spotify has an algorithm based on those beats and the melodies, and then provides you new music, which is fantastic.
That's killer,
right? You don't.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's awesome. That's exactly what they're feeding me, music that I didn't know about. That if my friends don't tell me about, or I don't see them at JB Hi-Fi, I might never know about them.
You know what? And the worst thing was when you were younger, you burn this new disc, and then like a new song comes out that's killer, and you're like, I wish I put it on that
and you
mix.
Just got to add one more song.
Add one more song. What do I do now?
And I think those CDs were worth nothing because you can make them, right?
Yeah.
So you give them to someone, and they're in someone's car, and you forget about them, whatever. Yeah. I think also as we get older, we realise our times. It's worth more. So you making 5 CDs in 2 hours or whatever it might be, you might as well just pay $12 and you've got access to it anywhere. You can stream it and
I've got the whole album. Got
and I mean,
singles,
I don't even know if new cars have CD players in them.
No, most of it's Bluetooth now.
Yeah, so all Bluetooth, and then
they probably do. Like
even like if you buy like my Mac and
the laptops ain't got them.
Macs, no CD-ROMs.
It's the way of the floppy disk now, the CD-ROMs. You know,
that's right.
To get extinct.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So every service is going to be available eventually on our phones.
Oh, definitely. Even beyond that, in your household, just like you can go to Google Home and
Alexa,
order
a
pizza Home. Or order some new shoes just by talking to it. You don't have to do anything. You got your card set up to it.
Yeah.
Hey man, I want the new Nike 270s.
Yeah.
Yeah. What size? 10. All right, they're shipped and they're ready. Like they're coming. What? In 2 seconds, I just ordered a new pair of shoes just by talking to a device. You know? So I think voice is going to be a very powerful tool as well in the near future.
Yeah.
Which will help obviously apps and stuff with their development too, because they're going to integrate it all into it, right?
Yeah, totally.
But one question I also wanted to ask, because there's a lot of people out there that might have a really good idea for an app, but they've probably got a full-time job where they're making their money and they can't really leave that to focus solely on the app, or they might be sort of entrepreneurial based where they want to start it and then sell it off or whatever that might be, right?
Yeah.
So if there was someone like that wanted to build an app and then sort of have access to people to invest in it, is that something they can do with you guys as well? Yeah,
definitely. We find that initial rounds of investment are coming from those people that believe in the idea, which is the founder. Obviously, they see the vision, they've seen the problem firsthand, and to mimic that vision is very difficult if you haven't actually conceptualized it yourself.
Sure.
So, putting some money towards your own idea is probably the first step that you would need to take. From there, then you obviously would have a presentation and you can articulate yourself to other people that know you and know what you've been able to achieve in your life. We call these type of investors people that know you retail investors.
Sure.
And then from there, usually you can then leverage someone you might not know through their retail network, or you can start to look at other ways of bringing in finance that we look at. So we look at other incubators. So these are companies that support new tech and new businesses.
So like venture capitalists and that sort of thing?
Not so much venture capital. Renew Adelaide?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say they're a retail and bricks and mortar incubator. They offer a service which allows bricks and mortar that's not being leased out to be utilized, with some funding from the government essentially, but the government's funding goes to the owner of the building.
Okay.
And the new founder that steps into that has the opportunity to start something with minimal capital.
Sure.
That's essentially what an incubator is in the tech world. They will have a panel of people. People will pitch to them and show them what they've been working on through a few different mechanisms, one being a prototype, one being a presentation. And then these people can make an educated decision on whether they would like to invest in this company, and they would take a percentage from you.
Sure.
Venture capital would start to come into play once you see growth rates of anywhere between kind of 10 and 30% month on month.
Yeah.
Venture capital would then say, okay, the process that they're following is working really well. We need to throw money at this to acquire more customers.
Sure.
And they can then calculate that the return on investment would be quite good.
Okay.
Anyone before that, there is high net worth individuals called angel investors out there. And an investor is anyone that sees an opportunity or sees a spark in a founder's eye and wants to make money while they sleep. Because that's essentially what apps do. They make money for you while you sleep.
Yeah.
So, it's a step-by-step approach to being a fully funded app and then scaling. Scaling is where venture come into it. Before that, it's your ability to back yourself, sell yourself, persuade others that you're on a winning train that's moving pretty fast.
Sure.
Just focusing on what you do well and just continue to do that. And if you're solving a problem and it's big enough, then you'll get it done.
And so do most people look to obviously get that assistance before that development stage, or once it's sort of up and running with the VC stage?
A bit of both. So VCs is, they're
always going to be there, right?
They're always there, and they're post development by probably 3-6 months.
Well, they're investing in a proven model really at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. They have to
see the proof.
That's right.
Yeah. They have to see because they're chucking a lot more money at that point.
Lot more. Yeah. So most of the time, sorry, I've got a question.
No. So it's like it's fine, brother. Yeah, we get sidetracked a lot. Don't worry. But no. So the VCs obviously they're investing a lot more because it's a proven model.
Yeah. And
before obviously those investors that are coming in early, I was saying if most people get them just before development to help them fund the rest of it, or
I would say a bit of a mix.
Yeah.
There's a really great MVP grant in New South Wales that provides pre-revenue funding.
Yeah.
But it's dollar for dollar match. So, the government are saying, well, if you think this is a great idea and you're going to make lots of money, you probably should have put money into it as well.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
I would say that, it really depends. If it's a proven model like yours, okay, then, you're doubling down and investing in the technology because you know that there's going to be that runway.
Yeah.
Before that, it's about validating that idea and ensuring that we're not developing something that isn't quite going to work commercially.
Okay.
And finding those channels of distribution. So then we can kind of put together some financial forecasts that make sense.
Sure.
They're not 100% always, they're going to be a definitive, but we can make a calculated educated decision that if we are to send out an email to these people and say, hey, this is the app, this is a problem that you face currently, and this is our solution, sign up now, that a percentage of them would come on the platform and become paying customers.
Yeah, right.
And from the way in which we've provided a revenue model for the app, we can work out how much money this might make in the first 6 months. And then usually an investor would say, okay, I can see that this makes sense. I can see that we're going to be making some money. I'm happy to step in and fund the development. Because the development, as you know, it's capitally intensive. And at the end of the day, it's not so much tangible. It's not something that our forefathers have been purchasing.
Sure.
So people can't, they find it hard to establish or fathom how much it actually costs to build something.
It's true.
When it comes to software, if you want to buy a car, you get the car. You get the nice car. You know what you're going to do with the car. You're going to have a good time. It's going to get you to A to B. You're going to be able to take out a nice girl and you're going to impress her.
Sure.
With software, you load it. You don't know you don't know how deep it is and how big it goes.
Yeah.
So it's hard to just, people are still struggling with that. I think I was the same when I first started in this industry. I was like, what? It's crazy how much it costs. But now I understand, and I think with like yourself and your sister and your team, spending the time with us now, you understand that
the value's there, man. Like, and you've got to do everything like the right way. There's no shortcuts to it, and right. I've kind of got the feeling that it's similar to, like all other industries, that you get what you pay for. I mean, if you're going to go get an app developer 100%. Where they, it's going to cost you a couple grand to develop the app. Well, I don't think it's going to be the best app to be developed, right? Yeah,
and unfortunately, I sometimes say to people, the app development world is like the mechanic world. There's dodgy mechanics out there that'll use bad oil and won't use proper seals and will tell you need to fix things when you don't need to fix things, so they can make money for today.
Yeah.
You want a team that can tell you, don't spend money on that right now. You can spend it later.
Yeah.
We use premium products and we take our time, and your car will last longer, and it will be a better experience for everyone that gets in the car.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I think that's crucial for business these days, is that you align with people who have the same sort of moral and ethics that you do.
Yeah.
And when we met you guys at the start, it was integrity, transparency, honesty, doing things the right way. These are all things that we align with. Client for life, helping people out in situations. I mean, you guys helped us out heaps at the start, just with getting things together and the whole starting of the process and everything. So working with people who are like-minded and have the same morals is, I think, a really big thing in business these days, because everyone's just more educated about the shonks out there, and there's too many people getting taken for a ride and all different things because their knowledge lacks in that sort of area. I'm not going to say I'm an expert in app development, because I'm not. I'm nowhere near it. I'm a very rookie person when it comes to app development. I learned a lot from you guys throughout the process, but before that I knew nothing. Really. I was like, all right, there's an app, it's built, this one's like, you don't know much about the whole back end of it all and how it all runs. So that's where you guys were actually amazing with us, and kind of held our hand. We still are holding our hand, but held our hand throughout the whole process so far. And I can honestly say, hand on heart, if we didn't go through those early stages of getting those plans, developed and approved by the council, which is you guys, like we said before, the analogy, then it would have been a much more expensive process for us later, because we would have found all these things that we didn't think of at the initial time of the app, that would have had to sort of develop later, and that would have just blown out the budget out of proportion, right? So definitely see the value on going through crawling before you can walk, walking before you can run in the app development side of things, because you want to really hit the ground with the polished product. You don't want to be going back and keep changing, because by that time people are using it and haven't had that good experience, and that's money out the door.
Yeah,
really,
that's right,
essentially,
that's right,
and it's users out the door, that's value out the door, and that sort of thing too. Another question I wanted to ask, so if people are successful in developing an app and it's starting to launch, right? How does the valuation work around a value of an app company or app itself?
Yeah. So I talked about customer lifetime value before, which is how much someone would spend each year through the app. So a monthly fee subscription based model, say Spotify was $10 a month, you're looking at $120 customer lifetime value for the year. You can use that amount to times by how many customers you've acquired or might acquire through strategic partnerships to come up with a valuation.
Wow.
Okay, on what you would bring in for the year. Now, there's a few different ways. Some methods coming out of Silicon Valley, some out of Europe and the UK.
Yeah.
If you've got 10% month-on-month acquisition growth or revenue growth, then you can raise anywhere from 5 to 7 times that figure.
Wow.
Higher than that, 30% month-on-month, you can raise up to 14 times.
Really?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, because with the digital marketing methods through Instagram and socials and other socials, you can acquire customers. We can put an ad up right now and target customers in Kenya.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
We can acquire 50 customers overnight.
Yeah.
For a budget, and then they're our paying customers. So if you get those metrics right of growth, then people are willing to put that money in because the sky's the limit.
Wow.
You can acquire a customer when they're laying in bed, or in their car, or about to jump on a plane. You don't have to be in front of them. You are in front of them on social. So it's a funny one. I mean, pre-money or pre-revenue valuations is tough because these are theoretical customer lifetime values. These are theoretical distributions and acquisitions of those channels.
Sure.
But post-revenue, you can use those metrics, 10%, 20%, 30%, and somewhere in between there. It'll also go on, you look at what's a growing market as well. What's been and gone and what's moving in a trend based on political, economical, all those other things.
Full on.
So
such an interesting world of apps, isn't it?
It is.
There's so much to
good.
it. All right,
I enjoy it.
It's exciting. There's a lot of money in it, like that's been thrown around all the time. You see things come and go, but then the ones that stay, obviously, $1 billion valuations, that sort of thing. If you have the right sort of idea for the right solution, like you were saying, like for the problem. That's great. So all right, so I'm listening to this now. I've got an idea of sort of an app I want to generate. Mm-hmm. What's the next step for me to get in contact with you guys and to sort of just understand? I mean, the consultation will probably be free just to go over the process. Absolutely. But what would be the next step for us? So how do we get in contact with you guys now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm available. You can email me.
I'll put your socials in the description too. So
perfect. So, I mean, I'll sit down with you, understand, what the problem is you foresee, how long you've been thinking about it, and then really discuss on, what you want to achieve. And if you've done anything, then we would analyze what you've done, what more we can do. And then if it's something that they want to pursue, then we would take them through the same process you've been through, I guess, and go from there. And then start that education process like if you're starting this business, which you are, you're going to be forever learning.
Yeah.
And I mean, your space really well, and how the network and the side of what you're delivering for your customers is. But, you have to learn a little bit about what we do too, I suppose, if you're on the forefront of that. So, we really want to mentor and educate people because the success of our products is the success of our company. And we want you to be successful because one day, when a round comes up, hopefully we can get some money in there too. And we can profit from your success.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, collaboration is key to everything. And like I say, if you're aligned with the right people, it's hard when you don't know about a certain industry in general to trust someone in it. Yeah. Especially something that can be so costly. Because people will be spending 100, 200 grand sometimes in developing what they want throughout the app process. Yeah. And if you don't know anyone in it or you don't get referred to by anyone in it, to trust that person with that sizable investment and the time that it takes to get it all up and running in the first place.
Yeah, it's a long relationship.
It is, and you want to make sure you do it with the right people too. And people that do the right thing by you and the process and the whole development of it too, which like I say, you guys have been amazing. And, once we compare you to some other companies out there, it's just chalk and cheese with the amount of service and time and, you can feel the genuine care about what you're doing and how you guys really for what we're developing. The team had no idea about the industry or how we wanted to deliver it or what we're doing and that sort of thing too. So to explain that to someone from the start and to say, have that designed and come back to you and to be what you said is pretty amazing to begin with, because it's not an easy thing to capture for most people, especially when it's a completely different field that you're not even in, right? Yeah. But, when Steph caught the idea and sent back what she sent the first time and this is amazing, it's better than what we actually thought of to begin with, and then keep tweaking and improving. But it all comes back to her actually taking that time to understand everything about what you want to develop and how you want to develop it and how you want it to look and how you want it to feel and how you want it to touch and how you want the users to use it, and to put all that information in and then send you back a picture of that from words is an amazing thing, right? So massive respect for any app developer that does the right thing and is so creative in that side of things too. So for us, it's been a really good experience so far, and it's continuing to be, obviously, because we keep getting obviously more and more time together, getting closer with each other, all that sort of thing too. The guys flew down to come see us, and like the effort's there and the care's there. And I think when you've got a team like that working towards a common goal, no matter what you're doing, is something that's going to breed success eventually, because you're just doing it the right way with the right people. And I don't think an app is something that you can't do with the right people. You have to do it with the right people who have the same alignment as you for it to be successful, because it's like anything. You can burn money. If you don't know how to social media market a property or like a project, like developers can burn thousands of dollars on nothing, on waste of time leads that aren't being targeted right, but people think Facebook's the way to go, but the person doing the marketing doesn't know what they're doing properly. So you're just burning money and paying too much for it too. But when you've got someone who knows what they're doing, knows how to deliver it, helps you through the whole process, especially for the first time, and they see the value of where it's going to be and what it's going to grow into, well, man, this is something that's you want to be on board with, and you're happy to be a part of that journey. It's because it's something that is a journey. It's made overnight and it's there. It's months and months and months of grinding at it together to create that beautiful polished product.
That's right.
So I'm very grateful to you guys and what you've done so far with us too, and what we're developing and what's coming up in the future, which we won't say too much about because you're still developing it, so you know what I mean. But we know it's going to be
against NDA.
It's signed. Don't worry.
No, I'm excited for what you're doing. It's it's going to be very good. This is where it starts to get really fun, right?
Yeah.
And as we start to get everything out the way, and we can start to find out how big she's going to be.
Yeah, I know. So I'm looking forward to it. But man, I think that's it for us. We've got time now. So I really appreciate you coming in today, spending the time with us.
It's been good. I really enjoyed it.
If you haven't, look up Hyper. That's the name of the company, and this is Mark Saccoia. All right, I'll put his details below. But strapping young lad. Look at him.
Oh, thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
All right, so all right, look him up. Look up Hyper. See what they've done. See their projects. They've got a few really good apps that they've developed over time. It's all on their site. If you're wanting to look at developing an app, and this is something you've sort of been toying with the idea, just sit down with them, have a conversation. It's free, obviously, but just sort of point you in the right direction on how to go about it. At least you're going to be aligned with people who do things the right way and do the right thing by you. All right?
Yeah.
So
hyperhq.com.au.
hyperhq.com.au. All right? So thanks very much, Marky. All right?
Appreciate it, guys.
We'll see you
so much.
later this week anyway. All right?
Ciao.
Ciao.